welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori, and today Justin is back. We're going over the next segment of death moves. I feel like I have to have a voice.
Yes.
Death moves.
Could be a perfect Halloween episode.
Part 2, we're going to go through 8 through 14. So Justin, remind us again where these moves came about and maybe a little bit about your training back in the day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I started my training working for a famous golf instructor named Jim McLean. And I worked with him in Doral, Miami, Florida. What was so interesting about working for him is that we used to go to these Monday meetings, and every Monday morning we had a 7:30 a.m. meeting that we had to go to. And as assistants, when you're just getting started to work for this famous golf instructor, this famous golf school, you get very nervous going to these meetings, because these meetings they were sometimes educational, but they were sometimes opportunities to test whether the assistants knew whether they knew.
If they've been listening in class.
And reading the books and all that type of stuff. So in preparation for these meetings, all the assistants, like the night before, are just studying up and getting ready for it, and wanting to know his system, because rightfully so, he wanted potential instructors that were going to work for him to know his style of coaching. But one of the things that was in his book, and his Bible book, is the 8-Step Swing book, which is a fantastic book. It's got so many great information in there. But in there, chapter 3 is the 21 death moves, and these are the 21 things you should not do in your golf swing, because it kills your chances of being successful.
And you started out your training in Florida, you said, right? And then came to Arizona?
Yeah, well, actually, I had one pit stop. I did one season in La Quinta, California, in Palm Springs.
Wow, so you really visited 3 of the main golf meccas of the United States.
Exactly right.
What's other than water? Okay, is there any huge difference with golfing in Florida, golfing in Arizona, being in the business in Florida, being in the business in Arizona, or is it all just a grind?
Yeah, being in the golf business is very, very heavy on the East Coast. It's the Mets section up in New York is probably the section of the PGA. All the greatest players are there, all the best golf courses are there. And a lot of those sections have relationships with the Florida section, because a lot of the assistant pros can only work in the summertime. So a lot of them will then go down and get a job with a place in Florida. And a lot of the members of the clubs in New York tend to go down to Florida. So golf is it's a very East Coast sport, and in the business of golf, there's just a lot going on out there. And also, those of you who have traveled a lot, East Coast tends to just be a little bit more faster paced, a little bit more So it's
different.
It's different. It's different for sure. Out in the West Coast, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more easygoing. Which, but yeah, growing up my career in the Florida East Coast, it was definitely the best place to get started, and really get moving. And there's golf is just huge in Florida. It's just a big spot for the golf business.
All right, let's get into the death moves. On to number 8.
Number 8 death move. It's a little bit opposite of the one that we did in our first episode of death move number 3, which was overextending in the backswing. Death move number 8 is this idea of folding the right elbow into the side and getting a very narrow backswing. So the idea is that people will come in and they have this really narrow backswing, almost in an attempt to be too connected in their swing. And they're just folding that right elbow in and not allowing. And as you can see, this is about as much backswing as I can kind of get if I keep this elbow connected, which is not that much backswing. And it just really weakens your golf swing. And it's an overdone idea for somebody who's maybe overextending in the backswing. They kind of glue their right arm to their side, and there's just no swing of the arms at all. And a better player we typically will see is that their right arm is a little bit more actually separated from their right side. And I actually remember seeing Padraig Harrington one time actually working on this drill to actually get a little bit more width away from the right elbow to the right side. And he actually put a head cover underneath his armpit. But instead of doing what you think he's trying to do, keeping it connected, his goal was to actually drop the head cover in the backswing and then come down and swing down. So if you're one at home, and once again, we want to make sure that if you are listening to this episode, we want you to have a video of your swing that you can be watching along so you can kind of compare to see if you are doing one of these death moves. And we want to see, we want to make sure that there is a little bit of space between that right arm and the right side. I sometimes say that at the top of your swing, it should feel almost like you're holding a pizza pie at the top of your swing. I would not hold a pizza pie at the top of my swing with my right elbow connected to my thigh.
Pizza's falling to the floor.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You don't want pizza.
And actually, you gave that tip the other day at another Breaking Bogeys training.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to talk about Breaking Bogeys here in a sec, but that visual of holding a pizza, can you show it one more time into the camera? That going to the range with that swing thought has really helped me. So can you show maybe the viewer, how to get into it?
Yeah, because that's kind of cool. What you could do is you can just go up to the top of the swing and just hold it there for a second, wherever you are, and then try your best not to move at all. Take the left hand down and see if you could be holding a pizza pie from this position. This one, probably not as much. So we'd want that elbow a little bit more down and the right wrist to kind of hold that pizza pie a little bit more at the top. And then try to reform that same feeling at the top of the swing. And then once again, death move number 8 would be having that right elbow kind of into the side. So if you're one of these that's taking the club back like this, and then I take the left hand off, that pizza's definitely on the floor there. So making sure that we're getting that right hand in that position.
This move in particular, I have seen a lot with the women I've golfed with, where they have that really condensed swing. Could this maybe be a mobility issue?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of these moves are just a mobility thing that your body has formed the swing because you can't move your body in certain ways.
Totally, yeah. And a lot of times it comes to how much flexibility you have in your right arm. If you were to, at home, just to kind of hold your right arm in this position and just see how much your right hand can kind of go back just like this, I can actually get a lot of that. I actually am fairly flexible in that particular position, but I've known some people that just get their arm right here and they can't move their arm at all.
Yeah.
So, getting their arm into this position here, it can be sometimes a little bit difficult based on people's, ability.
Yeah.
Or mobility.
So I keep bringing up Breaking Bogeys. Breaking Bogeys is our monthly membership.
Yep.
We actually meet once a week, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yes.
And it is a group of mostly women. Well, it's all women right now, but it's open to anyone. And women that want to break a score barrier, breaking 100 and breaking 90. Now, that being said, it can work for if you want to break 80 or break 72.
Totally.
But we just wanted to build this community of golfers that have the same common goal, same level of golf, and we meet once a week, and we coach them through what needs to be done in order to take your game to the next level. So,
absolutely. Yeah, there's so many people out there that want to get better, and they have this idea of just saying, just tell me what to do. I have time. I have a place that I can practice. Just tell me what to do. It's very similar to like people that want to get in fit or trying to go to the gym. Everyone has access to a gym. I mean, anywhere there's a gym nearby, but a lot of people go into a gym and they're like, I don't know what to do. There's weights there. There's a treadmill there. How much time should I put into each of those things? We show you what to do in Breaking Bogeys. Each week we're getting together. We're looking at your scorecard. We're looking at your stats, and we're giving you a plan to get better. And we show you what to do to pretty much guarantee the results of kind of lowering your scores with an actual customized plan to your particular game.
Yeah. And so we'll put all the information of that in the show notes. But I'm thinking about my own personal journey right now, and I've gotten more motivated lately.
Mhm.
And it's actually always around this time of year I get super motivated. Isn't
Mm.
it funny? Do you get is there a certain time of year other than the January that you might feel
Yeah, I mean,
particularly
I think summertime just tends to give a lot of people just like it's the golf season.
Yeah.
Even though we live in Arizona and Phoenix, technically the golf season is more wintertime. Golf is just, I mean, there's more golf on TV. There's a lot of more of the majors being played right now. It's a summertime sport because that's where the entire world is playing. Because even here in Phoenix, when it is in triple digits, there's still people playing. There's actually probably people playing even more now in Phoenix than before because like they like those cheaper rates, because the cheaper green fees and stuff like that. So this time of year, everyone's kind of playing, and it's just the time that people get most motivated to get better.
Yeah. So with my motivation, I know like I have to start seeing Andrew consistently. And do I know what to do in the gym? Absolutely, I know what to do. But I still need someone pushing me along the way. So that's really the basis of breaking bogeys and really giving you a plan and holding you accountable to it too.
Yeah, it's great to have the accountability and the guidance on what to do.
Yeah. All right. On to death move number 9.
Number 9 is club shaft tip over. So we see a lot of people that get up to the top of their swing. And if we were to just basically, and actually this would be an interesting one for you to see at home, especially if you're looking at your own swing, especially from the down the line view. If you were to take the club up to the top and maybe just stop about 3/4 of the way back and just draw a line on wherever this club is in the backswing, okay? Or halfway back in the backswing, where this 3/4 position here, and just draw like a line or put something here to kind of remember this angle. What we would see from somebody who's doing death move number 9 is that as they come down, the club would be in a steeper position than it was in the halfway back position. So when they go back, just draw it. Let's just say that's a 45-degree angle. As they finish their backswing, then come back down. If it's more than that 45 degrees, getting closer to 90, we call that club shaft tip over, and definitely a death move that creates a lot of typically pulls and slices. And what we typically see from better players is that when we see this angle here, wherever this is in the backswing, they go back, and then as they come down, it's almost always flatter than the one in the backswing. So you can actually kind of just measure that right there. Where's the backswing angle? Where's the downswing angle? And we want it to be flatter than the one that it was coming in the backswing.
That's a good tip. If you're just listening, you might definitely want to watch that on YouTube because it's very clear that your club shaft did get steeper in your follow through.
Yep.
So you're saying it doesn't get any steeper, or we don't want it to get any steeper after that 45 degree.
Yeah, after that backswing, that 3/4 of the way backswing, we're trying to basically shallow that club underneath that angle on the downswing, because that tip over just gets that club to come that classic over the top. And a great little idea too is that almost kind of imagine like you have a wall up against the back of you here, and as you go up to the top of the swing, we'd almost want to get that club to kind of get onto that wall, and we'd actually want the club to drag down the wall. If we get up to the top of the swing and we come off the wall right away, that's that club shaft tip over, which is getting that club to get really steep. So if we get up to the top of that swing there, we want that club to kind of feel like it's dragging down the wall.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, on to death move number 10. Is there a favorite death move? Is there one, if you like, even if we haven't even explained it yet, is there one where you wish you could just wipe off the planet and you'll never have to teach it again?
Get rid of this death move. Well, you know what? My favorite death move, because this is how I tend to teach as well, is that I think the easiest way to improve someone's game is to change something at setup. If you could do something just at setup differently and just be better there, then the rest of it will take care of itself, which would bring us back to death move number 1, which is freezing over the ball. I mean, there's a famous quote by Jack Nicklaus that said 50% of a great shot is visualization, 40% is setup, and 10% is swing. And if you can do something at setup to just put yourself in a better mentality and not getting so stressed over the ball, which is what we talked about in episode 1 of this 3-part series, of just having some movement over the ball, having that waggle. I mean, something just that simple can like be a miraculous difference in your outcome. And I much rather look at so that's what makes that my favorite death.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Well, let's go on to 10.
Okay, number 10, which I think might be one that may pertain to you a little bit. This is for people. This is a good player, actually, a good player death move. We typically see this from better players. And what this is, if you're looking at home, is this is the club dropping below the right elbow in the downswing. It's actually shallowing the club too much. It's kind of the opposite of death move number 9.
Yeah.
Death move number 9 is tipping it over. Usually for people that are slicers, people that pull the ball and slice the ball a lot. Death move number 10 is where this club drops below the elbow and gets below this right elbow, which then causes the club to come very much inside out. It also tends to cause a lot of fat shots as well. So if this is my ball that I'm trying to hit here, when I get this club and I shallow it a lot, it'll tend to hit a little bit more behind the ball and cause the club to come a little bit too much inside out, causing a lot of pushes and hooks. So a lot of times whenever I have a lesson with somebody, I'll always say, what's your typical miss? And they always say, I always hit it both ways. I miss it both ways. I'm like, okay, sure. So, okay, let's go a little deeper here. Okay. Oh, I hit it everywhere. All right. I'm sure you hit it everywhere, but let's. So the reason why most people say they have a two-way miss is because if you are a slicer, you come over the top a lot and you can either pull the ball left or slice the ball right. And then if you are a hooker of the golf ball and you make the ball curve left a lot, you usually drop the club underneath the elbow, which I just demonstrated there. And that means you can either push the ball to the right or hook the ball left. So yes, they are right. There is a two-way miss, but there's two different ways to miss two ways, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's like it's one swing thaw that is that what? Wait, swing
Flaw. Swing thaw. My swing's thawing out right now.
It's one swing flaw that is making those two misses.
Correct. Yeah. So the club shaft tip over, if you're death move number 9, you're typically a pull and slicer, which is a two-way miss. But if you're death move number 10 and you drop the club a lot underneath the right elbow, you're typically more of a block push to the right or a hook to the left.
Is it the same verbiage as being too shallow and too steep?
Yep.
Okay.
So club shaft tip over, too steep. Club shaft dropping below your right elbow, too shallow.
Okay.
Yep.
So there was one time I don't even know where this club came from, but we're playing around and my buddy brings out this driver that's like twice the length. Like it's just a silly
like
driver.
A goofy driver.
Yeah, it's a goofy driver, but it's twice the length as a normal driver. And I mean, these guys were good golfers and they were whiffing the ball. They couldn't make contact. And I am one that I'm too shallow, like you were just explaining for number 10. And the club head with this ding dong driver hit the ground literally 3 yards before the ball.
Yep.
It was almost like, here, you want to see what your swing thought? Why do I keep saying thought? Swing flaw is like, use this driver and it will be really apparent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because an extremely long driver tends to shallow your swing a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're already shallow, it's double the shallow, which then makes you hit behind the ball, which is what we said. You know, when your club is dropping below that right elbow, you tend to hit more fat shots because the club's coming in so shallow. So you need to actually be steeper. And it's funny, if you're death move number 9, you should be practicing death move number 10. And if you're death move number 10, you should be actually practicing death move number 9 because they are the complete opposites. And the happy medium is exactly where we want to be swinging. Yeah.
All right, on to number 11.
Number 11 is sliding past the ball in the downswing. So this is usually people that are really trying to like hit the ball too much with their body. So they get up to the top of their swing. And if you're looking from the face-on view of your own swing, this would be somebody who's actually moving past the golf ball where their chest, their head is all moving past the ball and sliding in front of the ball and trying to, a lot of times this is somebody who has a very open face. And if you can see, if I have an open face and I slide past the ball, it helps me tip over my shaft, which then makes me swing more left, which then at least gets my face more square to the target.
That's like 5 death moves in one death move. In one swing.
It is the whammy of them all right here. Yes. So
what kind of miss are you seeing with this move then when you're sliding too much?
Very, very steep. You know, people coming in and hitting very, very steep into the ground, coming in and taking big divots usually is a cause. Pulls to the left, slices to the right. You know, people just getting almost a little too frantic with their upper body. Now, a fantastic drill to kind of fix this, and one of my favorites, because a lot of people tend to just work way too hard when they're swinging the golf club. They're just trying so hard to have success that if they could just somehow find a way to just calm themselves down and not have so much, you know, thrashing of their bodies into the golf ball, the game just becomes so much easier for them. And what that is just to swing with their feet together. So to just maybe put a ball on a small little tee, put your feet together, and just swing back and through, just keeping your feet together. It'll prevent you from the thrashing of your body because you have to stay still. Because the definition of balance is when your head is in between your feet. When my feet are apart, it's easy for me to stay balanced because I can actually move my head around and still stay balanced. But once my feet are together, there's a very small space between my feet. So the moment that I move my head slightly outside of it, I lose that balance. So because we don't want to fall over when doing this drill, when we put our feet together, we tend to just keep our body a lot more quieter, and we don't,
start moving all over the place.
Exactly right.
So I had this situation this past weekend where I was playing a tournament at my home course, and I go to get my bag out, and my driver's not there because I played in a tournament last week where I was not using my driver whatsoever, so I left it at home. So I left my driver at home, and we're up north, and this is my home course, so I know where to go. I know where to miss. Like, my body knows what to do on this course because I play it so often. So I found myself using my 3-wood still as my only option, really, and really trying to, just get into it. Just try really hard to hit it as far as possible.
Yeah.
Because whereas last week I'm playing this desert course that's very scary to me, I was swinging at a nice pace because I want to keep it in play.
Sure.
Here on my home course, I was trying to get after it because I knew I could. Guess what? They weren't going far because I was missing them.
Right.
Because I was moving my body all over the place.
Yep.
And it wasn't until, it probably was the second round, mid-round, where I was like, just have good tempo. Just slow the F down.
Yep.
And guess what? It went far. It was my best 3-woods of the day off the tee. And it's really hard to, when you start going after these shots, to not have your body just start doing way too much.
Right. Yeah. And what I tend to find when people have poorer tempo, it's usually because they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to create so much power in another place other than where the ball is. And that's usually what I see from people doing, this extra effort to try to hit the ball farther, right? You said you didn't have your driver. You want to hit that 3-wood maybe up to where maybe you're in the area where your driver would have been, so we're trying extra hard, and our tempo gets flown off because we're creating speed in other places other than where we want to have that speed. So we're either creating that speed hard in the backswing or hard in the downswing. And as you can even see, even when I'm trying to create that speed hard in the downswing, look what it does. It creates my body to really thrash forward. So, having that nice easiness everywhere in the swing, except for right down there at the bottom, creates that awesome tempo that most people want to have when they're on the course. And when you ease up on the speed a little bit and ease up on the effort and ease up on the tension, typically all that energy that you've been throwing everywhere else gets zeroed in that one spot, and then it ends up actually sometimes going farther than when you were even trying harder before.
Easier said than done. So take it in.
Absolutely.
Try again next time. All right, on to number 12.
Number 12, we have a few more. So
Okay.
Number 12 is extreme lifting or dipping of your body and of your head in the backswing.
Okay.
So I've seen this a lot, and for those of you at home that have, once again, your video of your own swing, putting some type of a box or some type of a circle around your head.
Well, like drawing it on the video, meaning.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
We got
Like I'm starting to visualize you having like a cone on your head.
box on their head as they're swinging. That's so funny. So yes, on the video, draw a box on your head. So extreme lifting or dipping of your body. So if you tend to lift your head in the backswing or tend to dip your head in the backswing, this is going to be a huge death move. That's just once again putting your swing in a state of recovery right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is typically, once again, people doing way too much with their body that they don't really need to be doing. You know, all we're looking for the body to do is just to rotate. So if you're looking at it from this point of view, you can see how I'm just staying in this position right here. And then as I rotate back, I'm just staying right here. I'm not lifting the club up into the air, because that's what a lot of people do, is they think that the club's maybe heavy or they need to hit it really hard. So they wind up the whole thing and include that in the big lifting in the backswing. Or like I said, I've seen people doing the opposite, really trying, and that usually comes from people that are told that they have to stay down through the ball a lot. So they're like, oh, I need to stay down. I keep lifting up, so I'm going to really stay down in my backswing. But what's ironic is when you do dip a lot in the backswing, it actually makes you
go up
come
even
up
more
in the follow through. So
well, let's talk about, because we hear that a lot. Keep your head down. So is our head and really our, well, I think the only real example is using your head. Is your head staying in the box the entire swing, or in the follow through, does it go forward?
Oh, it definitely goes forward on the follow through for sure. But we want that head to stay relatively steady. Now, one thing that's interesting though is that when we've studied the best players in the world, there is some movement of the ball, movement of the head. Maybe there's a little bit of rotation of the head, maybe a little bit of movement to the right or to the left, but it's all extremely minimal.
Yeah.
And a lot of the amateurs of the world have extreme movements with this head. So this idea of having this some circle or box around your head when you're videoing your swing, you know, and just making sure that that's not moving very much. Now, I have a goofy drill for this. Okay. And most people, if you try this drill, you'll feel funny doing it. But it will definitely keep you from moving your head extreme. And that is taking a glove and you put it in your mouth.
Okay, so just like that.
As you swing, as this dangles from your mouth, you're going to be able to try to keep the glove from moving. So anytime that you move your head around, you can see the fingers kind of dangle and they kind of move a little bit. So in your attempt to try to keep this not from moving at all, you actually eliminate any extreme lifting or dipping or moving laterally. All of that goes away, and it's a great way to just have this self-feedback. Like I said, you'll feel a little goofy having a glove in your mouth as you're swinging, but it just is a fantastic way to see how much is my head moving. And if you're seeing this glove going up and down or out to the right, and you'll see the fingers of the glove kind of like waving a little bit as you're swinging back and through, it's going to be an automatic feedback that we need to be staying a little more still.
I mean, let's be honest. I've seen some goofy shit at the range. If I saw someone with their glove in their mouth, I wouldn't think anything of it. I would be like, maybe they're trying not to bite their tongue.
No.
You know, maybe at impact, it gets a little too crazy.
And once again, we've talked about this before in previous podcasts. When you're playing with other people, and even when you go to the driving range, so many people are just so self-involved and wondering how their own selves are doing. You could really be doing almost anything on that driving range and no one really even knows what you're doing. For any of you that are very self-conscious about going to the driving range, I've taught some beginner ladies in the past that don't want to go to the driving range because they think everyone's going to look at how badly they're hitting the shots. Like, nobody sees that you're hitting bad shots. Nobody sees it. And even when you're out on the golf course, when you hit a bad shot, nobody sees it. Like they see it, but it means nothing to them because they're just so
into themselves,
which, I mean, and so are we, when we go to the course, that's all I'm thinking about when I go to play, and that's what's so funny. People get paired up with me and they're like, oh, I'm with the golf instructor. I'm going to get a free lesson today. Not if I'm playing, because I'm just focusing on myself out there. I'm trying to get my own.
Focusing on my own death moves. Okay,
exactly right.
You're on your own today.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard for me to watch 3 other people play and then also play my own ball. And that's why whenever I'm hired for an actual playing lesson, almost as a rule, I hardly ever actually play in that lesson because I want my own full attention to be on the person who's playing.
Yeah.
But if I'm ever asked to go play, I'm focused on me. I want to play well, right? And it's hard for me to be looking at other people's games and be playing at the same time. So,
all right, on to 13.
Okay, on to 13. Weight on the toes. So, it's interesting. It brings us back to death move number 1. When I talked about jostling your feet, we talked about jostling our feet when we kind of lift up our toes back and forth. I never see good players doing this as they're jostling their feet, and
like their heels coming up.
Yeah, their heels coming up. Yeah, so we never want to see heels coming up. And then when you're getting ready to play, I sometimes see people like getting their weight into their toes. And what's unfortunate is that people say, oh, you want to be athletic in golf. Let's make an athletic swing. Well, in most athletics, like tennis or basketball or soccer or, most of those sports are what we call dynamic sports, where you're actually reacting and moving based on a ball that's moving. So having your weight on your toes, preparing to move is a fantastic thing to be doing. But in golf, the ball stays still. We're not hitting a moving ball. We're not moving around to react to that ball moving. So we want to keep that weight off of our toes, and having our weight on our toes at address or anywhere into the backswing, because actually there's a force plate out there now called Swing Catalyst that actually measures the pressure that you put in your swing. And what we've seen from better players typically is that the weight actually goes a little bit into their right heel in the backswing, never into the toe. So a fantastic thought, especially if you're one that gets into that right toe in the backswing, is to almost feel like you have a little bug underneath your right heel that you're trying to smush with your right heel into the backswing, because that actually affects the plane of your swing too. If you notice, when I get my weight onto this toe, it tends to get my club to go very, very upward and very steep. But if I get my weight to go a little bit more into my right heel, it tends to allow my club to go a little bit more on plane. So having that weight on your toes at address or into the backswing is just a humongous.
It will cause a lot of imbalance.
Yeah, exactly right.
Which will turn into other death moves because and you're trying to recover and you're off balance, and so.
And as I said before, like having your weight on your toes, it's great for dynamic sports because it's preparing for movement. And in golf, we want as little movement as possible. I mean, especially on death move number 12, we don't want our head moving around. And if your weight's on your toes, it's promoting movement. It's promoting you to be like very mobile over to the swing. But we tend to see a little bit more stillness, particularly from the body, in better players and better swings. So weight on the toes is a big no-no.
I've never heard back right heel before.
Back right heel. Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Okay. On to number 14, our last one for today.
Number 14 is going to be a quick move away with the hands and arms, with the hands. So it's kind of like this big, quick hinge of the club. And it's another thing that usually comes with this death move is a regrip. There's some people out there that do what we call a regrip. And it's right as they're about to swing the club, they do. I'm thinking of a student that I'm working with right now that does this little move, and it's like right when he's about to take the club back, he does this like re-grip of the golf club right as they're about to take the club back. Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes, especially in the summer now, it's so hot out, the grip can get slippery, or your hands can get, if you're not paying attention, and all of a sudden your backswing, you feel the club grip move.
Yeah,
you're like,
twisting.
I have no idea what this club face looks like. Let's go.
Yep.
So you're saying he intentionally switches his grip?
Not intentional. He doesn't know he's doing it.
See how I assumed it was a dude there? Sorry, dudes. Could have been a woman. I don't know.
So yeah, it's this quick move with their hands, and unfortunately most people don't know that they're doing it, which is why video is so great to use. I think some people can get addicted to video, like getting too addicted to like how it looks and how they can make it look better. But if they could, but what's great about video is it just gives you a taste of reality of what's actually going on in your swing, because we're just based on what it feels like to us. So if it feels good to us, which most people are trying to swing well, they don't think they have any death moves. No one's doing death moves on purpose. But you can really not really identify any of these death moves without the video, because the video is a kind of a third-party perspective of your swing that has no biasness to it, where your feel, you can't see what your swing looks like, so you're just going based on feel, and a lot of times there's a lot of death moves in there that's hurting you. So if you're one that's tending to make this quick move away from the ball, or or maybe even regripping and having this hand, the club head moving so quickly away from the golf ball, a good thought for you is to actually think of your swing almost like a little bit of a paintbrush. So if I had a paintbrush in my hand here, it's almost like I could paint I'd paint the bristles back this way. And if you notice, when I'm starting the paintbrush back, I use the handle first, and I move the handle of the paintbrush back as I'm going back. So this would be your idea as you're going back, is almost to feel like you're starting the backswing with your handle, as opposed to starting it so quickly with the hand, with the club head. So if you can feel like that those hands kind of just dragging that handle back and kind of getting those paint bristles to go back like that, it'll create more of that one piece takeaway where the club, the arms, the shoulders, and the upper center are kind of working together as one as we go back into the backswing.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. Like if you're just listening to this and you're trying to visualize, it's like moving the handle first,
Correct,
not the club face.
Yep.
That made a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely.
Going back to the video and finishing up our episode for today, another thing I like to do, you were saying people get addicted to video. Well, I get addicted to only looking at the swings that came out really well.
Looking at the swing set?
If you said, Tori, I want you to go out into the range, take a video, take both videos for me today and send them to me so that we can look at your swing. I obviously am not sending you the video with the shot that is the bad shot.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm waiting to hit a bomb.
Yep.
And then I'm going to save that.
Yep.
And it's going right into your inbox.
Totally.
So
Totally.
My question to you is, since I do that, I am aware of this, okay? And I'm not posting anything on Instagram or TikTok that is a bad shot too. I'm picking my best one, my best looking one.
Right.
Can you still really see the flaws regardless? Can you see the death moves regardless? Because again, a lot of this time is just, a lot of these swings are just really good timing,
My favorite question, well, it's not my favorite, it's my least favorite question a student will always say. They'll always look at me and they'll be like, okay, I have two swings. I need you to look at my two swings and you tell me which one's better. And I already know what's going to happen is that both swings are going to look exactly the same. But they feel something different in each of them, and they'll show me one and they'll be like, okay, here's my one. They'll swing it. And then I'm like, okay, show me the second one. And they'll swing it. And they'll be like, did you see what was different? I'm like, I didn't see anything different.
Wait, this is amazing. So that's a thing?
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, that is something I have related to so much with these death moves. That is something I don't think I have as far as two swings, like thinking I have two different swings. Do you find that the student is using one swing more than the other on the course?
Well,
or are they just they feel like they keep switching and whatever's working that day?
The thing that's changing is just something slightly like a feel is different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I felt my pressure a little bit more in my right hand that time as opposed to the left. Did you see that? I'm like, no, I could have filmed it and I wouldn't have seen it with the film. So, I mean, no, I don't suggest having multiple swings, but people go through a lot of different feels. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy. A lot of times, even let's say I would have identified this death move for you and say, yeah, you're doing one of these death moves and you need to do this drill to try to make it different. Mm-hmm. Then go ahead and film yourself at home trying to make the change and actually look at the two. Most times than not, they look exactly the same because a lot of times it's very difficult for people to make changes. And even though they think they're making like this drastically different change, on video, you can like barely see that there's any movement at all. So a lot of times when we have that's why I said some of these death moves are actually good thoughts if you're doing the opposite of that. Yeah. So they're sometimes really good thoughts for you to be working on, because change is just really, really difficult for some people. And for all people, it's very hard to make a change because our habits are so ingrained into doing it one way. And that's what's funny when you said, like, I wait till the ball is good. It's the good shot and the bad shot are going to look almost identical. It's just, where did you hit the ball right in the center of the face? Which brings to another point. So many people says, oh, that was a bad swing. A lot of times it wasn't that bad of a swing. You just missed where you were supposed to hit on the ground. And one of my favorite quotes I got from a teacher way back when, I can't remember his name, but he said, and I was in New York at the time. I was doing an internship in Long Island, and so the Yankees were the baseball team there, and Alex Rodriguez was one of the best hitters on the team at the time. And he said to one of the students, he said, do you think when Alex Rodriguez swings and it's a strike and he misses it, do you think that was a bad swing, or did he just miss where the ball was? And it was so enlightening to me, because it's like, how many times do we make a really great swing, but we just missed like where we were supposed to swing? And we go into like the blueprints and start changing all these things in our golf swing.
Major changes, and really it was not that bad.
Exactly right. And one thing that great players just have the ability to do is to have short memories. No matter how good no matter how much you work on your swing, no matter how many lessons you take, you're going to hit bad shots. That's just inevitable. We hit missed shots. And the people that typically score the lowest or win the tournaments or play the best just missed it a little better that day than the other people. They didn't just hit it perfect the whole day. They just had better misses that day. So, when we keep going to the drawing board and keep trying to change things every time that we have a missed shot, you're just in this circle of pool of turmoil that just like, you're just thinking you're horrible, and you're not. It
makes golf not fun.
Exactly right.
So I want to finish with this one thought, since we went into that. This has to do with club fitting too, meaning if you have stress over going to get fitted for clubs and you don't think you're good enough yet, or you're scared that you're going to go get fitted for clubs and all your shots are going to be not good shots, know that they are seeing exactly what they're supposed to see.
Correct.
And they will fit you to clubs that are best for you.
Absolutely.
So don't think that you have to be a certain level or hit a shot, like have your best ball striking day of the year at the club fitter. No.
Right.
So I just want to end with that, because that's a common thing I hear from women especially.
That's a great thought.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Tori.